In the year 2000, I had received my very first Disneyland annual pass as a gift, and shortly after, I went on a trip to Disneyland with my friends. The very first thing I wanted to go on was my all-time favorite ride, the Haunted Mansion. I love that ride so much. I did research on the ride to figure out the secrets and techniques they used for all the effects. I had memorized the song so that I would sing along throughout the ride. So I finally got to the Haunted Mansion and got in line. So far, everything was the same, except for one thing. I got to the pet cemetery part of the ride, and for some odd reason, the frog's tombstone was missing. Instead, there was another tombstone that said, Seth, forever here. This kind of bothered me because it didn't seem like one of those family-friendly puns Disney makes, and it seemed out of place, but I ignored it, thinking it was just a new part of the ride. Eventually, I finally got into the mansion. So far, nothing else being out of the ordinary, and the waiting room is just the waiting room. The ghost host still says the same lines as he always does. Then, I got into the stretching room part of the ride, and it all seemed normal, until the part where the room goes dark. You see the skeleton hanging himself as usual. But when the lights go out, I saw a ball of light hovering above the ceiling. I knew this wasn't normal, because at this point, the whole room should be pitch black. Just then, before the lights turned back on, the ball of light morphed itself into the shape of a skull and disappeared as the lights turned back on. This was not normal. As we walked outside the room and into the hall of the transforming portraits, I asked my friends about the lights, but none of them saw it. At this point, I thought I was just imagining things. We all got on the ride, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. That is, until the ballroom scene with all the holographic ghosts. I smiled, and I enjoyed the happy ghosts dancing and celebrating a lady's birthday, but something wasn't right about this scene. I looked up and saw the most horrifying thing I'd ever seen in my life. The glass that you normally see the animatronic reflections off of was broken. There's a body on the floor, in a pool of blood by the dinner table. My friends and I freaked out. All the other passengers screamed. The ride stopped. The lights turned on, and an announcement was made on the loudspeakers. Disneyland thanks you for your visit. Please evacuate the attraction in an orderly fashion. A cast member will be with you shortly to assist you in the evacuation. Thank you. As we were evacuating the ride, we had to walk all the way to the place where you exit the dune buggies and get off the ride. At the end of the ride's exit, we heard what sounded like a small child crying, even though there weren't any children that young around. I saw a bunch of ambulances outside the Haunted Mansion ride, along with a bunch of police officers standing outside. I walked up to one of the officers and asked him what happened. He told me the victim's name was Seth.